Chapter 946. Following Xie Honglang's words, Lu Xuerong's eyes could not help but be filled with joy. Big brother Xie, I knew you're the best to me. Seeing the adoration in Lu Xuerong's eyes, Xie Honglang's heart was moved. He had been pursuing Lu Xuerong for a while now, and it could be said that he was in a good state. He could clearly feel that Lu Xuerong's love for him was growing deeper and deeper. It seemed that he would be able to successfully marry the Lu family's young miss this time. As long as he gave this contracted beast to Lu Xuerong would never be able to escape from his grasp. Thinking of this, Xie Honglang looked at the three demonic beasts with a determined heart. Not to mention one contracted beast, even if Lu Xuerong wanted these three contracted beasts, he would take them all together. In the next moment, Xie Honglang walked towards Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen. Everyone who was eating in the main hall was surprised when they saw Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong. It seemed that the rumors of the Xie family and Lu family being connected by marriage were true. The three major families of the origin martial city, the Yuan family, the Xie family, and the Lu family. These three families had been passed down for many years and held important positions in the origin martial city. However, the Yuan family's strength was currently at its peak and was slightly stronger than the Xie family and Lu family. If the Xie family and Lu family were connected by marriage, their strength would definitely surpass the Yuan family. All these years, they had heard that the Xie family and Yuan family were not on good terms. However, they had always been afraid of the Yuan family's strength and did not dare to make a move. Now that the Xie family's second young master and the Lu family's third young miss looked so close, it was likely that the Xie family wanted to use the marriage as an opportunity to ally with the Lu family. This way, they would be able to suppress the Yuan family. When they thought of this, everyone's expression changed. Once the Xie clan and the Lu clan joined forces, the situation in the Yuan Wu city would change drastically. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were eating when they suddenly realized that a group of people had stopped beside them. They could not help but frown. How much are you selling your contracted beasts? Xie Honglang said indifferently. His tone was filled with arrogance as usual. In his opinion, this kind of contract beast that didn't have any attack power was useless, only girls would like it. Similarly, this kind of contract beast wouldn't be expensive. Even if these three contract beasts looked a bit cuter, it wouldn't be much more expensive. Di Beichen frowned at the guy who had suddenly appeared and said coldly, "Not for sale." Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and Bai Shi all stared at Xie Honglang. What a joke! Are they for sale? Why does this sound a little strange? However, how could such amazing beasts be bought so easily? Where did this kind of blind idiot come from? Seeing Di Beichen reject him so decisively and coldly, Xie Honglang's face turned cold. He had spoken nicely earlier, but the other party actually dared to rudely refute him. One had to know that in the entire origin martial city, not many people dared to refute him like this. Didn't you bring these three contracted beasts to sell? I don't care what the price is, as long as you name it. Xie Honglang was extremely generous. Marrying Lu Xuerong was a mission given to him by the entire family. Chapter 947. When Lu Xuerong saw that Xie Honglang was so generous to her, a hint of joy surfaced in her heart. In her opinion, as long as she liked something, Xie Honglang would do everything possible to buy it for her. It could be seen how much Xie Honglang liked her. Although Xie Honglang's strength could not compare to the young master of the Xie clan, he could still be considered distinguished and elegant. His background was extraordinary, and he treated her so well, so she also liked Xie Honglang very much. Di Beichen turned his gaze away, his pair of deep eyes suddenly filled with an infinite coldness, as if it was winter, chilling to the bone. I said, I'm not selling. His deep and magnetic voice was filled with warning. He only wanted to have a good meal with Hongzhuang and relax. This kind of tactless fellow was really ruining his good mood. Bailey Hongzhuang also turned her head to look at Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong behind her, her expression revealing some displeasure. You can leave now. When Xie Honglang saw Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance, he could not help but be surprised for a moment. When he saw Di Beichen earlier, he already felt that Di Beichen was too handsome, but he did not expect this white-dressed woman to be so beautiful. The Yuanwu city was covered in ice and snow all year round, so the women's skin was extremely white, and they were filled with beauties. Lu Xuerong was already an outstanding beauty, but compared to the woman in front of him, there was a huge gap. When Lu Xuerong saw Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang, her eyes were filled with astonishment. Previously, her attention was focused on the three furry demonic beasts, so she did not notice the two of them. At this moment, she only felt that the two of them had extraordinary bearings. It would be extremely difficult for them to buy this contract beast. Although Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Xuerong's attitude was very clear, Xie Honglang still did not have any plans to leave. After all, this was something that Lu Xuerong wanted very much. Furthermore, a cultivator could only contract one demonic beasts. There were 3 demonic beasts in front of him, so it was obvious that there was one demonic beasts that had not been contracted. It's enough that you have 2 contracted beasts. Why can't you sell the other one to me? Xie Honglang frowned slightly. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's temperament, he felt that these two might have a certain background. Therefore, he wanted to avoid offending the two of them as much as possible. Otherwise, if it was someone else, he would have taken the demonic beast away. Bailey Hongzhuang stood up, her expression indifferent and distant. These 3 demonic beasts have already been contracted by me. Do you understand now? The gazes of the people in the restaurant landed on Bailey Hongzhuang and Xie Honglang's group. There were not many people in the origin martial city who dared to treat Xie Honglang in such a manner. After all, a powerful dragon could not suppress a local snake. Even though many foreign cultivators frequently appeared in the origin martial city, they were unwilling to offend the 3 great clans of the origin martial city. However, the white-clothed woman's words made them feel helpless. If she had used some other reason to explain it, it would have been fine. However, one person had contracted 3 demonic beasts. Was she not treating Xie Honglang like a fool? No matter who she told this reason to, no one would believe her. Xie Honglang's reaction was naturally the same as everyone else's. He was not angry but smiled. However, there was a hint of coldness in his smile. Miss, you can't be thinking of using such an impossible reason to fool me, right? Chapter 948. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Xie Honglang indifferently. This world was like this, no one believed her when she spoke the truth. It's up to you whether you believe me or not. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged her shoulders, we still need to eat, you can leave now. When her voice fell, Bailey Hongzhuang did not care about Xie Honglang and the others and sat down to eat. Her gaze landed on Xiao He, Xiao Bai and Baisher. Speaking of which, these 3 little fellows looked really cute and didn't look like demonic beasts with battle strength at all. Thinking about it, anyone who saw them would think so. However, for such cute creatures, most women would not be able to resist the temptation. However, if everyone knew the true strength of these 3 beasts, they would probably be extremely shocked. Her contracted beasts were really each more powerful than the other. Di Beichen couldn't be bothered with Xie Honglang and the others. It would be best if these fellows could understand the situation and leave. Otherwise, he would have to stretch his muscles and bones. Xie Honglang saw that Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen didn't give him any face and treated him as an invisible person eating at the side. He felt a wave of displeasure in his heart. He, Xie Honglang, had lived in Yuanwu City for so many years and had never been treated like this by anyone. It was simply abominable. Lu Xuerong's eyes were burning with anger. They had already given these 2 a lot of face by negotiating with them. Who would have thought that these two fellows actually didn't know how to appreciate favors? Hey, do you know who we are? Lu Xuerong said angrily. These two people were too arrogant in Yuanwu City. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up. It seemed that these two people still didn't know how to read the situation. She just couldn't understand why so many young ladies like to throw a tantrum. There's always someone better than you. Don't they know that there's always someone better than you? Scram. Di Beichen spat out a word from his thin lips. The sudden appearance of this group of people had disturbed their mood of eating, and now they even dared to speak to them with such an attitude. They were simply courting death. Di Beichen's handsome face was covered with a layer of frost, and the side of his face was dyed with a grave and stern expression. It was just a simple word, but an indescribable aura erupted from Di Beichen's body. He was like a natural king, high and mighty, enough to look down on everything. His entire body was emitting a noble aura. This simple word seemed to explode in the entire restaurant. Everyone looked at Di Beichen in shock. In Origin Martial City, there was actually someone who dared to tell Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong to scram. This was truly a rare occurrence. If this happened to someone else, they would definitely think that the other party was courting death. However, after seeing Di Beichen's kingly attitude, they couldn't figure it out. I feel that this man and woman look extremely extraordinary. Their background shouldn't be simple. Otherwise, they wouldn't dare to speak to second young Master Xie like this. These two people are very unfamiliar. Maybe they just came to Origin Martial City and don't know the identity of young Master Xie and young Lady Lu. That's why they can be so unrestrained. Looks like there will be a good show to watch. It's still unclear who will win in the end. Everyone's eyes were filled with interest as their gazes landed on Bailey Hongzhuang, Xie Honglang, and the others. Origin Martial City was very close to the blood-ground abyss. Therefore, everyone was affected and was infected with a valiant aura. Chapter 949. With regards to conflicts, this was something that the cultivators of the Origin Martial City loved to watch. Even though it had erupted in the restaurant, they were not worried that they would be implicated. They only wanted to know who had won in the end. Following Di Beichen's words, Xie Honglang's face immediately turned ashen. The fact that the other party did not give him any face had ignited his anger. Do you know that in the territory of the Origin Martial City, no one has ever dared to say that word to me? Xie Honglang narrowed his eyes and his words were filled with threat. The group of lackeys behind Xie Honglang had already drawn their weapons and were about to attack. Then I'll be the first. Di Beichen coldly looked at Xie Honglang and put down the chopsticks in his hand. Although this meal had been ruined by this blind fellow, they were almost full. Hearing Di Beichen's words, Xie Honglang became even angrier. Since you don't know what's good for you, then don't blame me for being impolite. If it wasn't for the fact that he had to maintain a certain level of composure in front of Lu Xuerong, Xie Honglang would have killed Di Beichen long ago. This fellow actually dared to humiliate him in public. He did not even consider his own status. Di Beichen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang also nodded her head indifferently as a playful look appeared in her eyes. Speaking of which, they had been sitting on the wyvern for too long these past few days and felt uncomfortable all over. They never expected that someone would send them to exercise their muscles and bones. Everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's smile and a hint of intoxication appeared in their eyes. Such a beauty was truly rare in the world. Just a smile was enough to intoxicate them. Kill them. A malicious and ruthless look flashed across Xie Honglang's eyes. He would never allow such a fellow to live until tomorrow. Lu Xuerong was also very calm. In the Origin Martial City, there were many violent incidents. Although she was a woman, she was already used to this kind of thing. People who don't know how to appreciate favors should be sent to see the King of Hell early on. Xiao He and Xiao Bai also put down their food at this moment. Speaking of which, this matter was completely caused by them. Now that there was a problem, they naturally could not stand by and do nothing. The 5 men immediately walked towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Feeling the aura of these 5 people, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was also a little surprised. It seemed that Xie Honglang's identity was not simple. Although these 5 men were not young, 3 of them were Red Realm cultivators. This alone was enough to prove Xie Honglang's background. Going out for a meal, there were 5 hired thugs following him. They should be a local faction of the origin martial city. However, no matter what kind of background Xie Honglang had, she and Di Beichen wouldn't care. After all, they were passing by the origin martial city. Even if they killed Xie Honglang and Xiao He, they could still leave without a care. When Di Beichen heard Xie Honglang say that he wanted to kill them, a cold light appeared in his eyes. His deep black eyes were also quietly filled with killing intent. Bailey Hongzhuang stood quietly at the side. Her exquisite and beautiful face had an enchanting and playful smile, as if she was watching a good show. With Di Beichen's strength, dealing with these fellows would only take a few seconds. It was an instant kill. Chapter 950. When everyone saw Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent expression as she watched the show, a hint of astonishment surfaced in their eyes. Xie Honglang's hired thugs were not weak, but this woman did not seem to feel any danger. It was too strange. Lu Xuerong looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's self-righteous look and sneered in her heart. A strong dragon could not suppress a local snake. Even though these two were not weak, offending the Xie and Lu families in the origin martial city was courting death. She wanted to see how long this woman could be proud of herself. Once this man was defeated, this woman would probably cry and beg them. Xie Honglang's gaze landed on the 3 demonic beasts. A faint smile appeared on his face, as if victory was already in his grasp. Little sister Xuerong, which demonic beast do you like? Xie Honglang asked with a smile. Hearing this, a smile appeared in Lu Xuerong's eyes. She immediately looked at the 3 demonic beasts. Only then did she realize that aside from the different colors, the black and white demonic beasts looked exactly the same. The other white demonic beast was a little different. However, they both had furry bodies and were very cute. These 3 demonic beasts are all very cute. I don't know which one is better. Lu Xuerong's expression was somewhat hesitant. She only wanted to find a cute demonic beast. These 3 were really difficult to choose. Seeing that Lu Xuerong did not know what to do, Xie Honglang laughed faintly. There's no rush. I'll give these 3 demonic beasts to you later. You can take your time to choose. Big brother Xie, you're so good to me. The corners of Lu Xuerong's eyes were filled with joy. Xie Hongyang was so good to her, and in front of everyone, she felt that she had even more face. These 2 idiots. Baisher looked at Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong in dissatisfaction. They hadn't even made a move yet, but the 2 of them were already discussing the result. It was a little too early to be happy. This woman doesn't even look at her own talent. She wants to contract us. Dream on. Xiao He also spoke out indignantly. What kind of existence was it in Xiao Bai? Other than its master, they did not like anyone else. Idiot. Xiao Bai had always been simple with its words. At this moment, it only gave a comment that it felt was very appropriate. The conflict broke out in an instant. After hearing Xie Honglang's order, Xie Honglang's thugs immediately pulled out their weapons and fiercely rushed toward Di Beichen. In their opinion, although Di Beichen looked very extraordinary, with Di Beichen's age, his strength couldn't be that strong. It could only be said that Di Beichen was too stupid. He could have offended anyone, but he had to offend young Master Xie. However, when the thugs attacked Di Beichen was unusually calm, as if the person they wanted to kill was not him, and he was just watching an unimportant play. Suddenly, Di Beichen slapped the table with his right hand, and the chopsticks flew up into the air. Di Beichen's elemental energy surged out, and the chopsticks shot towards the thugs like weapons. Bang! Bang bang bang! The sound of heavy objects falling to the ground rang out, and the entire restaurant fell into silence. Even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. The surrounding crowd unconsciously held their breaths as they watched the scene in front of them in horror. This was really too terrifying. Chapter 951. Not only were the people in the restaurant surprised, but Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and Baisher were also surprised when they saw Di Beichen's move. The bamboo chopsticks accurately pierced the space between each of the thugs' eyebrows, leaving a red dot between everyone's eyebrows. That was an extremely hard head. How could it be pierced through with just a casual wave of the chopsticks? What kind of terrifying strength was this? Looking at the thugs who had fallen to the ground, they still maintained their ferocious expressions and lost their lives before they could even react. 5 corpses fell to the ground together and the other party did not even have the chance to beg for mercy. 1 hit, 1 kill. Domineering. This was true domineering. There was no need for any nonsense. He directly took the other party's life. There was simply no solution. Although the 3 beasties had long known that it would be easy for Di Beichen to deal with these thugs with his strength, they did not expect it to be done in such a shocking way. Xie Honglang was dumbfounded at this moment. The thugs that his family had arranged for him were very powerful. Many people had given up on the idea of being enemies with 3 Crimson Realm cultivators after sensing their strength. Now, this man had only made a move and the Crimson Realm cultivators did not have the slightest chance to resist. Most importantly, this man did not even make a move. He had only casually waved a few chopsticks and had already achieved such a result. How terrifying was this? He could not imagine how this young man's strength could be so terrifying. At this moment, Xie Honglang felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. He felt an indescribable regret in his heart. If he had known this, he would never have offended such a terrifying opponent. Lu Xuerong was scared silly at this moment. She had seen many cultivators who were seriously injured and died because of conflicts, but it was really the first time she had seen such a ruthless method. It made her feel an indescribable shock. Only Bailey Hongzhuang was still smiling like a flower. She rarely saw Di Beichen make a move, but she also knew that Di Beichen would definitely amaze people when he made a move. This way of killing with 1 blow was the best way to make an example of them. In this way, no one would dare to easily harm them. Resolving many hidden dangers in one fell swoop was an extremely labor-saving method for them. Xie Honglang's legs couldn't help but tremble. If possible, he really wished that he wasn't here. However, when he recalled everything that he had done earlier, he was afraid that the other party would not let him off so easily. Di Beichen's gaze slowly fell on Xie Honglang's body. It was clearly an unusually calm gaze, but in Xie Honglang's eyes, it was like the gaze of a killing god, causing him to be extremely afraid. At this time, Xie Honglang didn't care about his face anymore. He immediately knelt down and begged for mercy. "Master, I was blind. Please forgive me. I beg you to let us go. I won't dare to do it again." Lu Xuerong, who was at the side, was already scared silly. At this moment, she could only stare blankly at Di Beichen, not knowing what to do. When Xie Honglang saw Lu Xuerong's expression, he quickly pulled Lu Xuerong. Only then did Lu Xuerong react. She immediately knelt beside Xie Honglang. At this moment, the two of them couldn't care less about losing face. Disregarding everything else, their lives were the most important. If they lost their lives, then they would really be finished. Chapter 952. While Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong were begging for mercy, no one in the restaurant dared to even breathe loudly. Previously, they had never thought that this couple would be so powerful. Then, when they looked at the woman in white who had been smiling faintly from the beginning, they felt that these two were unfathomable. From the very beginning, these two had never taken Xie Honglang and the others seriously. Now, when they saw Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong begging for mercy, the crowd did not feel that they were being humiliated. This was because when faced with such powerful cultivators, begging for mercy was the wisest thing to do. Anything else would be truly foolish. Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and Bai Shi were exasperated. They had wanted to use this opportunity to show off their powers, but they never thought that before they could do anything, Di Beichen had made his move and everything was over. Di Beichen turned around to look at Bailey Hongzhuang. His initially cold and pressurizing gaze instantly softened as a smile appeared on his cold and handsome face. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled at Di Beichen as well. Her lucid and beautiful features carried a sense of indolence. Clearly, she would listen to everything Di Beichen says. Di Beichen's heart softened when he saw how gentle and lovely his wife was. He felt so blessed to be with Hongzhuang like this. The crowd, who had originally thought that Di Beichen was a terrifying person, were now filled with envy when they saw how much Di Beichen doted on Bailey Hongzhuang. This kind of perfect man who had both strength and looks could actually treat this girl so well. This girl was simply their role model. After Di Beichen noticed the look on Bailey Hongzhuang's face, he already understood her thoughts. His eyes slowly fell on Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong, and his face once again returned to its previous indifference. Get lost. Xie Honglang was stunned when he heard Di Beichen's words. He could not help but wonder if he had heard wrongly. Ask him to get lost? If he could, he really wanted to get the hell out of here, but Lu Xuerong's reaction allowed him to understand that he didn't hear wrongly. He was immediately delighted in his heart and hurriedly said, we'll scram right now. As long as he was still alive, it didn't matter how he was told to scram. Seeing Xie Honglang's expression as if he had been granted amnesty, no one laughed. Instead, they felt that Xie Honglang's luck was pretty good. Otherwise, the two of them would have already lost their lives. However, just as Xie Honglang was about to leave, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice suddenly rang out. Wait! As soon as these words were spoken, Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong's expressions instantly turned ugly. When they heard Di Beichen telling them to get lost, they felt as if they had entered heaven. Now, when they heard Bailey Hongzhuang's words, they felt as if they had fallen into hell. Could it be that they still couldn't keep their lives? Xie Honglang turned around and revealed a smile that was uglier than crying. What's wrong? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled slightly as she looked lazily at Xie Honglang. Leave your Qiankuan pouch. Since they had disturbed their meal, she could not let them leave so casually. At the very least, they had to pay a certain price. From Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong's earlier performance, she could tell that their identities were not ordinary. Naturally, their Qiankuan pouch was very rich. Since there was such an opportunity, it would not be her style not to rob them. Chapter 953. Yes, yes, yes. Xie Honglang happily took off his Qiankuan bag and placed it on the table. To the current him, as long as the other party did not want his life, everything was negotiable. Although the items in the Qiankuan bag were very valuable, it was not as important as his life. Lu Xuerong followed closely behind Xie Honglang and took off her Qiankuan bag. She looked at Bailey Hongzhuang anxiously, afraid that Bailey Hongzhuang would be displeased. Seeing that Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong had obediently left their Qiankuan bags behind, Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand. Let's go. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong swiftly disappeared from the crowd's sight as if they had been pardoned from a death sentence. They looked as if they were afraid that they would be left behind again if they were too slow. They had probably used their fastest speed on a daily basis. Bailey Hongzhuang held Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong's Qiankuan bags as a sly smile appeared in her eyes. She had obtained 2 Qiankuan bags out of nowhere. It was another fortune. Di Beichen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, who was smiling like a fox, and the adoration in his eyes deepened. This Bailey Hongzhuang was exactly the same as when he had first met her. Bailey Hongzhuang weighed the Qiankuan bags in her hands before looking at Di Beichen next to her. She smiled sweetly and said, "Let's go." Di Beichen smiled and nodded. "All right." The entire restaurant was dead silent. Only Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's voices could be heard. Bailey Hongzhuang carried Baisher while Xiao He and Xiao Bai jumped onto Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's shoulders respectively. Then, the two of them left the restaurant under everyone's gaze. After seeing what Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen had done, the manager didn't even dare to ask for the money. However, Di Beichen still placed the money on the counter. It wasn't until Bailey Hongzhuang and Lin Yiqian left the restaurant that the sound returned to the restaurant. My God, where did these two people come from? Isn't he a little too strong? Fortunately, we didn't offend them before. Otherwise, our fates would have been even worse. That man is so young, but I didn't expect him to be so powerful. It's really amazing. The crowd sighed in amazement. They had secretly decided that if they ever encounter Bailey Hongzhuang and Lin Yiqian in the future, they must not offend them at all. They must be tired of living. Master, why didn't you kill them? After Bailey Hongzhuang and Lin Yiqian had left the restaurant, Xiao He could not help but ask. From her point of view, since Xie Honglang had dared to harbor murderous intentions towards them, he deserved to be killed. What's more, this guy actually wants to buy me out. Dream on. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled as her clear eyes flickered with a wise light. One look and you can tell that those two have some background. Just based on the expressions of the other people in the restaurant, you can tell that they should be members of Origin Martial City's local forces. We're only passing by Origin Martial City and will be leaving in 2 days. If we kill those two, we'll be faced with endless troubles later on. There's no need for that. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen understood that the other party had been scared out of their wits and would not dare to cause any trouble for them. Since that was the case, what was the point of sparing their lives? Besides, they wouldn't be staying in Origin Martial City for long, so there was no conflict of interest. Chapter 954. After Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Zichen settled down in the inn, the incident that happened in the restaurant quickly spread throughout the entire Yuanwu city. Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong's faces had been completely thrown away in a short period of time. Many people who heard the news did not think that Di Beichen and Lu Xuerong were very powerful. They only thought that Xie Honglang and the others were too useless. After all, without seeing it with their own eyes, they still had doubts about Di Beichen's strength. Regarding this, Xie Honglang felt helpless. Although this kind of ridicule and sarcasm made him feel embarrassed, compared to losing his life, this kind of result was clearly nothing. As for these rumors, he was unable to stop them. However, he believed that after a period of time, everyone would gradually forget about this news. Bailey Hongzhuang habitually asked for 2 rooms, one for her and one for Di Beichen. Only after the two of them walked upstairs did Bailey Hongzhuang react. They were already married, so there was no need to book 2 rooms. Di Beichen did not immediately return to his room. Instead, he followed Bailey Hongzhuang into the room. Beichen, Bailey Hongzhuang stared at Di Beichen. In her heart, she had already determined that Di Beichen was her lover. Just now, she had only done it out of habit and did not wish for Di Beichen to misunderstand. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's awkward expression, Di Beichen's lips curled into a smile. Wife, there's no need to say any more. I understand. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but be startled. Even she herself did not know what the reason was, But Di Beichen was actually able to understand. You understand? Di Beichen nodded his head slightly, his handsome eyes filled with gentleness. Although we are already married, we were forced to marry under the pressure of the Feng Bo country's royal family. You did not marry me sincerely. Now, our hearts are connected, but I still owe you a truly grand wedding. Di Beichen's starry eyes were filled with a resplendent light. Back then, the wedding might have been grand in Feng Bo country, but to him, it was completely not enough. This time, he wanted Bailey Hongzhuang to be his wife willingly. He wanted her to marry him willingly, not because she was forced to do so, but because she was happy. He wanted to marry Bailey Hongzhuang in Tiangang's sect and let everyone know that Bailey Hongzhuang was the only true love of his life, Di Beichen. Following these words, Bailey Hongzhuang heard Di Beichen's words. She was slightly stunned. She was touched, of course. She did not think that Beichen would think so much. Di Beichen had thought. When they got married, she did not know about Di Beichen's feelings for her. She had always thought that it was a collaboration between the two of them. At the wedding, other than Ji Wenbin and the other two, no one else had anything to do with them. Even Di Beichen's most important master was not present. It was a pity. Beichen. Di Beichen gently pulled Bailey Hongzhuang into his arms. To me, you are a unique treasure in this world. I don't want you to have any regrets. I only want to do my best to make you happy. In the past, he did not have any other thoughts besides being filial to his master. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance had illuminated his originally monotonous life. She was so beautiful that he wanted to give her all the beauty in the world. He only wanted to see her smile, and he felt that it was enough. Bailey Hongzhuang was touched. Di Beichen's words deeply touched her heartstrings, making her understand her weight in Di Beichen's heart. Chapter 955. Di Beichen held Bailey Hongzhuang in his arms. His eyes, which were as deep as the sea, flickered with a strong sense of determination. There was one more thing that he did not say. Now, the mystery of Hongzhuang's origins has yet to be completely solved. No one knows what had happened to the Lan family back then. Most importantly, whether Hongzhuang's parents were still alive or not. Even though Hongzhuang's parents had been hunted down and had had no choice but to leave Hongzhuang in the general's mansion, they still do not know the final outcome. Perhaps they were still alive. If it was possible, he also hoped that he could obtain Hongzhuang's parents' permission to marry Hongzhuang. Come to think of it, Hongzhuang's parents' blessings were what she wanted the most. During this period of time, even though Hongzhuang had never mentioned this matter, he could sense it. Sometimes, the more one was unwilling to talk about something, the more one's obsession grew. Hongzhuang was now working so hard to raise her cultivation level because she wanted to have the ability to understand everything that had happened back then. No matter what, he would always stay by Hongzhuang's side. They would face all storms together. After Di Beichen had returned to his room to rest, Bailey Hongzhuang finally remembered Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong's heaven-earth bags. She immediately opened their heaven-earth bags. She wanted to know what was in their heaven-earth bags as well. When she opened their heaven-earth bags, it was just as Bailey Hongzhuang had expected. The two of them were rather wealthy. The dazzling gold coins proved everything. Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and Baisher were all drooling as they stared at the pile of gold coins. How much food would they be able to eat with this amount? Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at the gold coins before her gaze landed on the other items. There were demon crystals, martial skills, medicinal herbs, and even some ores. Baisher's gaze had already landed on the colorful demon crystals. The heaven-earth bag was really a good item. There was no need to go out and buy food. It had rations again. Taking a closer look, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a satisfied smile. Her loot from this robbery was extremely good. The snow origin country was covered in ice and snow all year round, and some medicinal herbs that grew in the ice and snow also appeared here. If it was in other places, it would undoubtedly be very difficult to find such medicinal herbs. However, it was much easier in the snow origin country. Xie Honglang's Qianquan bag contained these precious herbs, and the snow dragon grass among them made her eyes light up. Snow dragon grass was an extremely rare medicinal ingredient that grew in glaciers. The conditions for its growth were extremely harsh, and it was extremely troublesome to harvest it. If someone did not understand the characteristics of the snow dragon grass, they would not be able to pick it. Therefore, the snow dragon grass was especially precious. The effect of the snow dragon grass was to strengthen a cultivator's body, causing the muscles to become stronger and the skin to become tougher. In this way, it would be of great help during a battle. Normally, when the snow dragon grass was used in conjunction with a martial skill, the cultivator's physical strength would be greatly enhanced. Just like Bailey Hongzhuang's jade body cultivation technique, with the snow dragon grass, she might be able to break through to the second level of the jade body cultivation technique. Over the past few days, even though she had been cultivating the jade body cultivation technique, it was very difficult to cultivate a martial skill. Without certain conditions, it would be very difficult to break through. Chapter 956. Although Di Beichen's strength was very powerful and his mastery of body cultivation techniques was much higher, the snow dragon grass was still quite useful to him. Bailey Hongzhuang continued to check Xie Honglang's Qianquan bags. Aside from the snow dragon grass, there were some other medicinal ingredients. As long as she added a few other medicinal ingredients, the effect of the medicine would be even better. Thinking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang no longer hesitated and immediately began to concoct the medicine. Since she was going to stay in Yuanwu City for the next 2 days, she might as well take advantage of this opportunity to raise her cultivation as much as possible. This way, she would have more confidence when she went to the Bloodground Abyss. When the three beasts saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was seriously concocting the medicine, they obediently stayed at the side. At this time, they could not disturb their master. By the time Bailey Hongzhuang finished concocting the medicine, it was already very late. Thinking that Di Beichen should be resting, Bailey Hongzhuang did not disturb him. They had been sitting on the wyvern for the past few days and had not had a good rest. Now, it was time for them to rest. In Xie Honglang's Qianquan bag, Bailey Hongzhuang saw a brochure for the auction. She casually browsed through the auction items written on the brochure. These items were all very good. It could be seen that the level of this auction was not low. However, she did not need them. However, when she saw the last auction item, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but be stunned. It was a parchment scroll. Bailey Hongzhuang was very familiar with this parchment scroll. It was the same parchment scroll that she had obtained in Qishui City. It was the same thing. Qishui City and Yuanwu City were very far apart. When she had obtained this parchment scroll in Qishui City, she had felt that it was very special. Although it was only a quarter of the map, she did not even know what the map was for. However, just from the way the map was preserved, she could tell that this item was not simple. Originally, she had only collected a quarter of the map fragments. She thought that it would be very difficult to find the rest of the map fragments in the future. She didn't expect that she would encounter one so soon. Based on the location of the parchment scroll, the auction house had a certain understanding of its value. Otherwise, they wouldn't have arranged for the parchment scroll to be auctioned so late in the auction. It was common knowledge that the further an auction progressed, the higher the value of the items being auctioned. There was a touch of joy in her clear eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a smile. She knew that if she got this map, she might be able to know what this map was referring to. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly felt that she had an affinity with this map fragment. Back then, she had only gotten it by chance. Now, in such a short period of time, she had already seen another fragmented map. Perhaps, she would be able to piece these 4 fragmented maps together into a complete map at some point in time. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang got up and went to look for Di Beichen. When Di Beichen saw Bailey Hongzhuang standing in front of him with a sweet smile, a gentle smile appeared on his incomparably handsome face. "My wife, what has made you so happy?" Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. "I found something in those 2 fellows' Qiankuan bags yesterday." Chapter 957. Seeing that Di Beichen had already expected this, Bailey Hongzhuang directly took out a bottle of medicine and handed it to Di Beichen. The light blue liquid contained in the transparent glass bottle rippled slightly, like the sea, like the stars. It was very beautiful. Looking at the light blue liquid in his hand, Di Beichen's eyes revealed a trace of doubt. "Wife, what is this?" Seeing that Di Beichen finally revealed a look of curiosity, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile widened. "This is the medicine that I concocted." "What is it used for?" Di Beichen's gaze fell on the blue medicine in his hand. For Bailey Hongzhuang to be so proud, this medicine must have a significant effect. Most importantly, this so-called medicine was something that he had never seen before. However, after spending so much time with Hongzhuang, he was already used to this kind of situation. His wife always had an endless stream of new and interesting things. No matter if it was a lost pill or something else, it was perfectly normal for Hongzhuang to be involved in such a shocking matter. This medicine, it seemed like it was not something simple. "Yesterday, I found snow dragon grass in that man's Qiankuan bag." Snow dragon grass can increase the strength of a cultivator's body and strengthen the hardness of the skin. However, this kind of medicine is used on the surface of the body and not in the body. Therefore, the effect of refining it into a pill is not very good. If the juice is directly smeared on the surface of the body, the stimulation will be very large and it will be very difficult to balance. Therefore, I concocted it into a medicine. This way, as long as this medicine is poured into the bathtub, it will have an effect. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a bright smile. This was the method that she often used to increase her strength in her previous life. Compared to other methods, this method was undoubtedly the most suitable. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Di Beichen's eyes lit up. He had never heard of such a method to increase one's strength before. As everyone knew, amongst all the martial skills, body transformation martial skills were the most difficult to cultivate. But as long as one had a certain background, their elders would definitely remind them of the importance of body transformation martial skills. As his strength increased, Di Beichen also realized the importance of body transformation martial skills. Therefore, he spent a lot of time and effort in cultivating body transformation martial skills. It was just that it wasn't easy to cultivate a body transformation martial skill. There weren't any other good methods, and his cultivation method was almost a masochistic one. At this moment, after listening to Hongzhuang's explanation, he felt that this method couldn't be better. That's a good idea. This is the first time I've heard of it. His bright and handsome face was tinged with admiration. He was afraid that Hongzhuang was the only one who knew how to do this. After all, as the young sect master of the Tiangang sect, he had seen many cultivators, but he had never seen anyone use such a method to cultivate a body-refining martial skill. Thinking of this, Di Beichen couldn't help but think of the time when he knew that Hongzhuang was in danger during the monstrous beast tide. He went to the Azure Water School to see Hongzhuang. At that time, Hongzhuang was also sitting in the bathtub. Thinking about it, this should be a method that Hongzhuang often used to cultivate. This medicine is also quite useful for you. You can try it, but you only need to pour a part of it each time. The medicinal power of the snow dragon grass is very strong. If you can't absorb it all at once, it will damage your skin. Bailey Hongzhuang explained. Chapter 958. Di Beichen nodded his head slightly. If Hong Zhuang said that it was effective, then it was naturally effective. He had heard of the name snow dragon grass before, but he never thought that they would actually have it in the Qianquan bag they seized this time. Thinking of this, Di Beichen could not help but find it funny. His wife's character of taking advantage of every opportunity had also allowed them to gain quite a bit. "Wife, do you have this medicine?" Di Beichen asked. Bailey Hongzhuang took out an identical bottle of medicine from her Qianquan bag and waved it in front of Di Beichen. Her smile became even more charming and beautiful. "That guy's status is not low. He has 2 stalks of snow dragon grass, so I made 2 sets of this medicine." Bailey Hongzhuang's mood was very good. Towards this kind of medicine that could increase one's strength, the more the better. Thinking of this, it was not a bad thing to have more of these people looking for trouble on a daily basis. After all, this way, her wallet would be filled up by a lot. Seeing this, the smile on Di Beichen's lips widened. "My wife is really amazing." "Of course." Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and smiled. "Di Beichen, there's an auction in Yuanwu City tomorrow. Let's go take a look together, how about it?" Bailey Hongzhuang handed the brochure for the auction to Di Beichen. They had originally planned to stay in Yuanwu City for 2 days before leaving. Now, it seemed that they would have to stay for 1 more day. "All right." Di Beichen agreed without hesitation. He would never refuse anything that Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to do. However, with Hongzhuang's personality, if she did not take a fancy to the items in the auction, she would not stay in Yuanwu City for too long. Thinking of this, Di Beichen browsed through the brochure to see what Hongzhuang had taken a fancy to. Bailey Hongzhuang saw Di Beichen's action and couldn't help but chuckle. "Guess what I've taken a fancy to?" Hearing this, Di Beichen glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang, then looked at the flyer more carefully. After browsing for a while, Di Beichen found that although the value of the things on this leaflet was good, with Hongzhuang's current situation, there shouldn't be anything on it that she needed. Seeing the look in Di Beichen's eyes become deeper and deeper, the curve of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips also widened. Come to think of it, it was indeed difficult to guess what she was interested in. "You can't guess, right?" Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slyly. Di Beichen had always had an appearance of having a card up his sleeve, and it was rare for him to be unable to see things clearly. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to say her thoughts, Di Beichen's finger stopped at the parchment scroll. "What you're interested in, is this?" The low and charming voice was filled with confidence and certainty. Di Beichen smiled and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, as if he had already confirmed the answer. After seeing that Di Beichen had guessed her thoughts, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but be stunned for a moment. "How did you know?" Logically speaking, this should be very difficult to guess. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang confirmed his thoughts, Di Beichen's smile deepened. "I've always known you." Since Hongzhuang did not lack the things on the list, if it was medicinal herbs, it would be too obvious. Hongzhuang would not be so confident to let him guess. It was something that he would not normally think of. After carefully looking through all the auction items, Di Beichen had already confirmed the result. Chapter 959. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Beichen suspiciously. Seeing Di Beichen's unfathomable expression, she did not ask any more questions. Di Beichen had always been extremely intelligent. Di Beichen's gaze once again fell on the parchment scroll. Just by looking at the order in which it was arranged, one could tell that the value of this parchment scroll was quite high. However, what exactly was the content of this parchment scroll? Just by looking at its appearance, it was likely that many people would be interested in it. "Wife, have you seen this parchment scroll before?" The pitch-black and bright eyes flickered with a curious light. With Bailey Hongzhuang's personality, if she did not have some understanding of this parchment scroll, she would definitely not participate in the auction for this unknown parchment scroll. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and did not hide anything. That's right, I previously obtained a similar parchment scroll in Wuxia City. However, it was only a quarter of the map. If my guess is correct, this parchment scroll should be the same as the one I obtained. As long as I can gather these two parchment scrolls together, I will be able to obtain half of the map. Hearing this, Di Beichen immediately understood the value of this parchment scroll. Using such a special method to separate the parchment scroll was truly strange. Apart from extremely important items, no one would spend so much effort on it. Wuxia City and Origin Martial City were so far apart. For Bailey Hongzhuang to be able to coincidentally see these two parchment scrolls, this was truly a kind of fate. Bailey Hongzhuang immediately told Di Beichen the process of how she obtained the parchment scroll and how she found the map from the parchment scroll. Perhaps Di Beichen would have some guesses. Di Beichen looked at the quarter of the map that Bailey Hongzhuang handed to him and was also confused. The mountains and rivers on this map are very ordinary. There are no landmarks, so I am also unable to determine where this place is. Di Beichen said slowly as he returned the map to Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang was not disappointed by Di Beichen's answer. Just as Di Beichen had said, the mountains and rivers on the map were very ordinary. Many places were like this, and there was no way to judge them. It's fine. Maybe we'll be able to tell after we get the second map fragment. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled indifferently. Now, even if she knew the location of the second map fragment, she still didn't know where the remaining two map fragments were. She didn't know whether she would be able to meet them in the future. However, this kind of unknown opportunity really made people full of interest. Perhaps they would inadvertently obtain a treasure. Di Beichen nodded slightly. It's possible. Anyway, we will definitely get the parchment at the auction tomorrow. While Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang were in high spirits, Xie Honglang was frowning. When he had left the Qianquan bag, he didn't feel anything. After all, nothing was more important than his own life. However, when he thought of the snow dragon grass in the Qianquan bag, his heart was bleeding. Most importantly, the snow dragon grass didn't belong to him, but to his family. His family had asked him to buy the snow dragon grass from the auction and he had spent a large amount of money. However, before he could give the snow dragon grass to his family, he had encountered that kind of incident in the restaurant. Now that his family had questioned him, he was speechless. Chapter 960. Honglang, the Origin Martial City is our Xie family's territory. As the second young master of the Xie family, you were actually bullied by two outsiders. Isn't this too embarrassing for our Xie family? The eldest young master of the Xie family, who was also Xie Honglang's eldest brother, Xie Qi, looked at Xie Honglang speechlessly. His attitude was filled with ridicule. The snow dragon grass is a medicinal herb that the family values greatly. You spent so much money to bid for it and it's gone just like that. How are you going to explain to the family? Why don't I bring some people to help you get back at them? After all, our Xie family's things can't be taken away by others for no reason. Hearing the ridicule in Xie Qi's words, Xie Honglang did not care too much. He already knew that his cultivation talent could not be compared to Xie Qi's. Naturally, his position in the family could not be compared to Xie Qi's. It was because of this that he put a lot of effort into other aspects. For the benefit of the family, he pursued Lu Xuerong. However, Xie Qi was still very dissatisfied with him. Every time he made a mistake, Xie Qi would hit him when he was down. When Xie Qi mentioned taking revenge for him, Xie Honglang's expression changed a little. Big brother, there's no need. The other party is very strong. It's better not to be enemies with them. I lost the snow dragon grass. No matter how the family punishes me, I'll accept it. Xie Honglang hurriedly said. That man was able to casually kill all of his followers. It could be seen that his strength was not ordinary. Moreover, thinking back now, he felt that he did not have good eyesight at that time. Just by looking at the bearing of those two people, he knew that they were not ordinary. He should not have offended them. However, he was not clear-headed and caused such trouble for himself. Luckily, the other party did not kill them all. He and Lu Xuerong still returned safely. Now, he only hoped that he would not meet those two people again, not to mention going to get back at them. Seeing Xie Honglang's resigned look, the ridicule in Xie Qi's eyes deepened. He did not expect Xie Honglang to be so courageous. What a joke! No wonder Xie Honglang could not compete with him. With Xie Honglang's cowardly personality, what qualifications did he have to compete with him? However, if he met those two people, he would definitely snatch the snow dragon grass back from their hands. After all, the snow dragon grass was very useful to him. You're too cowardly. No wonder you can only do some small things for the family. If you become the successor of the Xie family, I'm afraid the Xie family's face will be lost because of you. Xie Qi shook his head, but there was a hint of pride in his eyes. He slowly walked out of Xie Honglang's house. Seeing Xie Qi leave, Xie Honglang's face revealed a helpless expression. All along, Xie Qi's personality had always been like this, so it was inevitable that he would feel a little dissatisfied. If it weren't for the fact that his cultivation talent was inferior to Xie Qi's, he wouldn't have willingly accepted all of this. Sure enough, the family punished Xie Qi for this matter. Many people thought that Xie Qi's actions had lost the face of the family. Someone suggested to go out and find those two people. After all, the Xie family's face couldn't be insulted like this. However, Xie Honglang kept explaining that the other party was very strong. There was no need to offend such an opponent because of a moment of anger. Chapter 961. Seeing Xie Qi's attitude, Xie Honglang felt very helpless. He had a certain understanding of his elder brother's temperament. Xie Qi always thought that he was the most amazing, but he did not think so. Yuan clan. The incident between Xie Honglang and Lu Xuerong in the restaurant had already spread throughout the entire Yuanwu city. Yuan Hongyang and the others naturally heard a certain amount of news. Hongyang, why do I feel that the man and woman who attacked us look like Di Beichen and Lu Xuerong? A hint of surprise appeared in Yuan Liqing's courtyard. After hearing the description of the two people's appearances, she felt that other than Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Xuerong, there were very few people who could have such outstanding appearances. Moreover, this matter happened after they parted ways with Di Beichen and Lu Xuerong. Based on the situation at that time, Di Beichen and Lu Xuerong should have gone to the restaurant to eat. Hearing this, Yuan Hongyang also nodded. I also think it's Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang. I didn't expect Di Beichen to be so strong. Although he felt that Di Beichen was not weak, he felt that with Di Beichen's strength, no matter how strong he was, he would not be that strong. Now it seemed that he had thought too simply. Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang had gone to the blood-ground abyss, so they must have had a certain amount of confidence to come here. Yuan Liqing nodded with deep emotion. To have such strength at such a young age, it's truly amazing. Although they had not seen the situation with their own eyes, from the news they had received, Di Beichen's strength was definitely not just at the Crimson Realm. Although Miss Bailey did not make a move, I feel that Miss Bailey's strength is not weak. Yuan Liqing slowly said. Along the way to the snow country, she had always admired Bailey Hongzhuang because the temperament and insight that Bailey Hongzhuang displayed were more mature than women of the same age. She had seen many people on a daily basis, but she had a heartfelt admiration for Bailey Hongzhuang. Although the Yuan family was hospitable, they wouldn't invite all their friends to the Yuan family. The reason why they invited Bailey Hongzhuang was because they felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was really worthy of being friends with, so they did this. Now it seemed that it was fortunate that they had formed a good relationship with Bailey Hongzhuang. The saying that one could not judge a book by its cover was not wrong at all. Yuan Hongyang nodded. Since ancient times, heroes came from the young. This time, they had really made two incredible friends. Xie Honglang's actions at that time were very wise, but I think with Xie Qi's temperament, it's very likely that he'll go and find trouble with Di Beichen. Yuan Hongyang frowned slightly. His position in the Yuan clan was similar to Xie Honglang's position in the Xie clan. They were not the heirs of the clan, but the left and right arms of the heirs. However, his relationship with his big brother, Yuan Qingshua, was very good. Yuan Qingshua also valued him very much. He was not as petty as Xie Qi. It was because of this that he had been working hard for the Yuan clan all these years, hoping that his big brother could lead the Yuan clan to become stronger. Yuan Qingshua heard Yuan Hongyang's words as soon as he arrived, and a hint of surprise appeared between his brows. Second brother, who did Xie Qi say is going to find trouble with them? Over the years, as the Yuan clan's strength increased, the Xie clan had always been unwilling to fall behind, so there were many small conflicts. Yuan Qingshua was also very concerned about Xie Qi's situation. Chapter 962. Big brother, we were talking about what happened to Xie Honglang at the restaurant yesterday. Hearing this, Yuan Qingshua nodded slightly. I heard about that too. Could it be that you know the two people Xie Honglang offended? We think it's very likely that they are the two friends who came back with us from Tianyan Kingdom, Yuan Hongyang said. The astonishment in Yuan Qingshua's eyes deepened. I heard that the two of them are very powerful. I didn't expect you to know them. Why didn't you invite them to stay with the family? Yuan Qingshua and Yuan Hongyang were both very hospitable people. Although ordinary people were not worthy of their attention, they were generous and loyal to their friends. They're only staying in Yuanwu City for a short while. I've already invited them, but they didn't come because they were afraid of disturbing us. Yuan Hongyang smiled faintly, but then frowned. Big brother, I think with Xie Qi's personality, it's very likely that he'll go find trouble with Di Beichen. Do you think we should make a move? He had a good impression of Di Beichen and Xie Qi. Moreover, being able to get close to such strong people was also worth it. That's natural. Yuanwu City is not the Xie family's territory. Since Di Beichen and Xie Qi are our Yuan family's friends, then we can't let Xie Qi and the others do whatever they want. Yuan Qingshua agreed without hesitation. These years, he had seen the Xie family's actions. Xie Qi was even more arrogant, and he had long been unhappy with it. Anything that was disadvantageous to the Xie family was good for the Yuan family. Moreover, these two were Yuan Hongyang's friends. Hearing Yuan Qingshua's words, Yuan Hongyang and Yuan Liqing smiled. Although Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were strong, the Xie family had many people in Yuanwu City. If the Xie family wanted to get back at them, then Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen would be in trouble. However, as long as they made a move, it would not be easy for the Xie family to find Bailey Hongzhuang and Xie Qi. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen didn't know the plans of the Xie and Yuan families. To them, they were only here to rest for 2 days. After lunch, the two of them stayed in the house. Bailey Hongzhuang began to use medicine to cultivate her body-tempering martial skill. Di Beichen did the same. To them, cultivation was an extremely important part of their lives. Perhaps this was a very boring thing for others, but they didn't think so. Although the area of origin Martial City was very large, the people of the Xie clan only needed to spend some effort to find out where Bailey Hongzhuang and Li Qiye were staying. After knowing this result, a smug smile appeared in Xie Qi's eyes. As long as he could kill those two people, not only would he be able to take back the snow dragon grass, he would also be able to help the Xie clan regain their dignity. In this way, his reputation in the Xie family would be greatly improved. The Xie family would also understand how big the gap between him and Xie Honglang was. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go now. Xie Qi said without hesitation. After doing such a thing, the other party still didn't leave Yuan Wu City. They really didn't know what was good for them. In the future, he would be the successor of the Xie clan. He definitely couldn't let this kind of person leave Yuan Wu City safely. However, after Xie Qi announced his decision, the Xie clan servant's face revealed a troubled expression. Chapter 963. Hearing the servant's report, Xie Qi's expression could not help but turn ugly. His eyes were filled with doubt. The Yuan family? Why would the Yuan family interfere in this matter? Over the years, the Xie family and the Yuan family have had many conflicts. Could it be that the Yuan family was deliberately causing trouble? According to the Yuan family's cultivators, Di Beichen and Beili Zhuang are friends of the Yuan family's second young master, Yuan Hongyang. That's why they have been obstructing us. Xie Qi sneered, friends? If they really are friends, why don't they look for those two instead of obstructing us? In my opinion, they are deliberately making use of this matter to make us unhappy. If they want to use this opportunity to embarrass our Xie family, we'll have to see if they have the ability to do so. When the Xie family found out that the Yuan family had also interfered in this matter, their expressions turned ugly. This was a matter between the other party and the Xie family. If the Yuan family wanted to interfere, the problem would become even bigger. Under these circumstances, the Xie family was even more certain that they could not let those two off. This situation had completely exceeded Xie Honglang's expectations. It was truly one wave after another. It was actually so difficult for him to settle this matter peacefully. The Yuan family's actions naturally could not escape the eyes of the people in Origin Martial City. After seeing that the Yuan family had also interfered, the crowd's expressions could not help but become interesting. Originally, it was only a matter between the Xie family and those two outsiders. I never thought that the Yuan family would also interfere. It seems that this matter has evolved into a conflict between the Xie family and the Yuan family. I heard that those two are friends of the Yuan family's second young master. That's why the Yuan family interfered. You believe that? If they really are friends of the Yuan family's second young master, why didn't they return to the Yuan family and instead eat in a restaurant? Hearing this, the crowd fell into silence. Just as this person had said, they had never seen the Yuan family's second young master and Di Beichen together. It was likely that the Yuan family had purposely made up an excuse. When Di Beichen and Beili Hongzhuang came to the restaurant to eat, they vaguely heard the conversation. The people who were chatting happily immediately stopped talking when they saw Di Beichen and Beili Hongzhuang. They knew that Beili Hongzhuang and Xie Honglang were not to be trifled with. Even Xie Honglang had fallen to such a state. They were afraid that they would die at their hands. Seeing that everyone was silent, Beili Hongzhuang didn't care. What other people thought, she didn't care at all. The only reason she stayed in Origin Martial City was to participate in the auction. Master, it seems that the two fellows you taught a lesson to last time have quite a high status in the Origin Martial City. Otherwise, the effect of killing the chicken to warn the monkey would not be so good. Little Black's eyes flashed with excitement and pride. It liked this feeling. In this way, there would be no more blind people coming to find trouble with them. Beili Hongzhuang nodded, just from the other party's stance, you can see that. You can eat your meal in peace today. No one will disturb you. That's great. Now, I'm afraid that no one in the entire Origin Martial City will dare to offend us. Xiao Bai smiled. Beili Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faint smile. She then followed Di Beichen to the second floor. Thinking about it, if they were to continue eating in the main hall, the entire main hall would fall into silence. Chapter 964. Young Master D, Miss Bailey. Hearing the familiar voice, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen could not help but turn their heads. Only then did they see Yuan Hongyang and Yuan Liqing walking over together. Seeing Yuan Hongyang and Yuan Liqing, Bailey Hongzhuang's pitch-black phoenix eyes were filled with astonishment. However, it was mostly joy. "Big brother Yuan, Miss Yuan, I didn't expect to see you here," Bailey Hongzhuang said with a smile. Di Beichen also nodded at Yuan Hongyang and Yuan Liqing as a form of greeting. Yuan Liqing immediately walked over to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Her dignified and beautiful face was filled with joy. "We didn't meet by chance. We came here specifically to look for you." Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly startled. She looked at Yuan Liqing with some confusion. She did not know why Yuan Liqing had come to look for them. "Since we've met, why don't we have a meal together?" Yuan Hongyang's face broke into a handsome and confident smile. "As the host, we didn't treat you well. Since we've met, don't refuse, all right?" Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen looked at each other. Di Beichen nodded slightly. "Young Master Yuan, how can we refuse?" Hearing Di Beichen's words, the smile on Yuan Hongyang's face widened. "Then let's go up." When the people eating in the restaurant saw Yuan Hongyang and Yuan Liqing conversing with Bailey Hongzhuang and Yuan Liqing, their hearts were filled with shock. Previously, when they heard that Bailey Hongzhuang and Yuan Liqing were Yuan Hongyang's friends, they had thought that it was a cover. They did not expect that they actually knew each other. So the Yuan family wasn't lying. These two are really friends of the Yuan family's second young master. Everyone suddenly understood. They had thought that the Yuan family had deliberately come up with an excuse to deal with the Xie family. Now, it seemed that they were wrong. From what the Yuan family's second young master said, why does it seem like he wants to get closer to these two? That's right. I also think that with the status of the second young master of the Yuan clan, he shouldn't be like this. Everyone was secretly surprised. It seemed like these two people's identities were not simple. Otherwise, with Yuan Hongyang's status and background, why would he be so friendly with them? Compared to Yuan Hongyang's friendliness, they only felt that Bailey Hongzhuang and Lin Yiqian were still very indifferent, as if they did not feel honored. In the private room, Yuan Hongyang skillfully ordered some special dishes. "The dishes of our Snow Origin Kingdom are quite different from those of the Sky Swallow Kingdom. Since we're here, we naturally have to try the specialties of our Snow Origin Kingdom." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. "With Big Brother Yuan here to give us an introduction, we have a better understanding of Snow Origin Country." After the attendant left, Di Beichen's gaze landed on Yuan Hongyang. "Young Master Yuan, may I know why you're here?" The people present were all smart people. Di Beichen could understand the problem in an instant. Since they had tactfully rejected Yuan Hongyang should not have come looking for them again. Now that Yuan Hongyang had specially come looking for them, there must be a reason. Seeing that Di Beichen had asked directly, Yuan Hongyang smiled and said, "Young Master D is really smart to be able to see the problem in one glance. Yesterday, you killed the Xie family's second young master's followers and stole their cosmos bags. Now, the Xie family is looking for you everywhere. Once they find you, I'm afraid there will be some trouble." Although Xie Honglang was the second young master of the Xie family, in the eyes of the old men of the Xie family, the reputation of the Xie family was the most important. Therefore, Xie Honglang's words would not have much effect. Hearing this, Xiao Bai also understood. Master means that this was not Xie Honglang's doing. That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang's light and pleasant voice was filled with certainty. She was very confident in her own judgment. Speaking of which, I really didn't know that young Master D was so powerful. You really can't judge a book by its cover. Yuan Hongyang praised. Di Beichen's face still had a faint smile. He waved his hand slightly. Young Master Yuan is too kind. Chapter 966. In that case, this matter was not Xie Honglang's idea, but the Xie family's. Di Beichen's handsome eyes flashed with a gloomy cold light. The Xie family did not know what was good for them. If they really dared to find trouble with him, he would not mind letting the Xie family know what real trouble was. The cause of this matter is the Xie family's eldest young master, Xie Qi. Xie Qi has always been arrogant. No matter how Xie Honglang told him not to be your enemy, Xie Honglang still insisted. In my opinion, Xie Qi wants to use this matter to prove his strength and at the same time, consolidate his position in the family. Yuan Hongyang slowly said. He understood Xie Qi's character very well. This fellow could not wait to become the head of the Xie family, so he wanted to use this matter to prove his strength. Hearing this, Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang also understood. Yesterday, they had used Xie Honglang as an example to others. They did not expect Xie Qi to use them as stepping stones. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a mocking smile. She had always been the one to use others as stepping stones. No one had ever used her as a stepping stone. This Xie Qi was truly seeking his own death. Hongzhuang, since you are temporarily staying in the Yuan martial city, why don't you come with us to the Yuan family for a short stay? This way, you can save the Xie family the trouble of finding you. Yuan Liqing pulled Bailey Hongzhuang's hand. She and Bailey Hongzhuang felt like old friends at first sight. If Bailey Hongzhuang could stay in the family for a short while, she would also feel very happy. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled gently. She had a good impression of Yuan Liqing. Whether it was Yuan Hongyang or Yuan Liqing, they were both very warm and good people. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were talking, Xie Qi led a group of people from the Xie family to the restaurant. When Xie Qi and the others arrived at the restaurant's lobby, everyone in the lobby looked at each other. It seemed that there would be a good show to watch in the restaurant today. Xie Qi must have heard the news and came to the restaurant. I'm afraid that he will fight with the Yuan family later. I never thought that I would be able to see such a good show today. It's really exciting. I wonder who will gain the upper hand. Xie Qi is here. Why isn't Xie Honglang here? Today is the chance to avenge Xie Honglang. I heard that Xie Honglang has been frightened by Di Beichen. He does not want to be enemies with Di Beichen. It's just that Xie Qi can't take this and that's why he came. Xie Qi. Everyone sighed with emotion, each with different thoughts. The three great clans of the origin martial city were not simple. The conflict between them was not something ordinary people like them could understand. They were only here to watch the show. The dignity of the Xie family was not allowed to be trampled on by anyone. Looking at Xie Qi's aggressive appearance, the shopkeeper was also put in a difficult position. Young Master Xie, you can't start a fight in this restaurant. My small business really can't afford it. Xie Qi waved his hand. No matter how much damage is done, I will compensate you double. Now tell me, where are the two people? Chapter 967. The shopkeeper's face was full of helplessness. If he directly revealed the whereabouts of the guests who came to eat at his restaurant, it would have a certain impact on the restaurant's reputation. Moreover, the other party was with young Master Yuan. If he revealed it, he would undoubtedly offend young Master Yuan. Whether it was the Xie family or the Yuan family, he could not afford to offend any of them. He could only pretend that he did not know anything. Following the shopkeeper's words, Xie Qi's face instantly darkened. Do you want to die? The low voice was full of threat. Xie Qi was in a bad mood. The Yuan family's actions today had already made him very unhappy. Now, a restaurant shopkeeper actually dared to say such nonsense to him. He was simply courting death. "Master, the Xie family has already arrived at the restaurant's lobby." Xiao Hei's voice rang in Bailey Hongzhuang's mind. Xiao Hei's mental strength had always been strong. As early as when Xie Qi walked into the restaurant aggressively, Xiao Hei already knew. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into an enchanting but cold arc. "I didn't expect them to act so quickly." Yuan Hongzhuang and the others were stunned for a moment when they heard Bailey Hongzhuang's words. Soon, they heard the noise coming from downstairs. "It seems that Xie Qi and the others have already found us," Di Beichen said lightly. Yuan Hongzhuang and Yuan Liqing looked at each other. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were indeed not simple. Previously, they did not know that Xie Qi had already arrived. However, Bailey Hongzhuang already knew. How did she know? "Since he has already found us, why don't we meet him?" Yuan Hongyang asked. He did not know what Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao Hei were thinking, so he had to ask for their opinion first. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. "Just as well. I also want to see what they can do." When Yuan Hongyang opened the door to the private room, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others saw Xie Qi interrogating the shopkeeper. "Xie Qi, what kind of ability do you have to make things difficult for the restaurant's shopkeeper?" Yuan Hongyang frowned. The shopkeeper, who was originally lifted up by Xie Qi, could not help but breathe a sigh of relief when he saw Yuan Hongyang and the others walk out. His life was finally saved. Hearing the voice from the second floor, Xie Qi let go of the shopkeeper and slowly turned his head. The shopkeeper fell to the ground and gasped for air, greedily inhaling the fresh air. Xie Qi's eyes flashed with displeasure when he saw Yuan Hongyang. When he saw Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen beside Yuan Hongyang, his face turned even uglier. "Yuan Hongyang, no matter what my Xie family does, you really want to get involved." Xie Qi's face was gloomy. The Xie family and the Yuan family acted almost at the same time, but now his movement was a bit slower than Yuan Hongyang's. Didn't this mean that his Xie family's ability was inferior to the Yuan family's? Yuan Hongyang shrugged indifferently. "Xie Qi, I don't understand what you mean by that." Yuan Hongyang, let me tell you. These two people are my Xie family's enemies. If you insist on getting involved, then you will be the first to provoke a conflict between the Xie family and the Yuan family. You have to think carefully about the consequences. Xie Qi's voice was full of warning. Yuan Hongyang was only the second young master of the Yuan family. The real matters of the Yuan family could only be decided by Yuan Qingshuo. Yuan Hongyang alone was obviously not enough. Chapter 968. Xie Qi, young Master Di and Xie Honglang are my friends. Yesterday's matter was caused by Xie Honglang. There is nothing wrong with young Master Di and Xie Honglang's actions. If you want to bully others today, I will naturally not let it go. Young Master Di and Xie Honglang are my Yuan family's honored guests. They are not people you can touch as you wish. Yuan Hongyang's attitude was unusually firm. He did not leave any leeway. Currently, the Yuan family was the strongest in Origin Martial City. Moreover, his actions had already received the support of the Yuan family. He naturally did not care about Xie Qi's clamor. Seeing Yuan Hongyang's firm attitude, Xie Qi was stunned for a moment. He did not expect Yuan Hongyang's attitude to be so unyielding today. This was not in line with the Yuan family's usual style. Yuan Hongyang, we are all discerning people. Don't pretend to be noble. If these two people are really your friends, why don't they directly stay in the Yuan family and stay in the inn? Even if you want to find a reason to cause trouble with my Xie family, you should find a reason with fewer flaws. Xie Qi sneered. Hearing Xie Qi's words, Yuan Hongyang's expression was still indifferent. I invited young Master Di and Xie Honglang earlier, but they did not want to disturb us, so they decided to stay in the inn. Huever, if you want to cause trouble for young Master Di and Xie Honglang, my Yuan family will definitely not sit idly by. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen stood quietly at the side. Everyone only saw the conflict between Yuan Hongyang and Xie Qi. They felt that this matter had nothing to do with Di Beichen and Xie Honglang. In fact, Bailey Hongzhuang also felt the same. Xie Qi originally came to cause trouble for her and Beichen. Now, the focus had completely shifted. She and Beichen had become spectators. It was really interesting. Xie Qi frowned. Yuan Hongyang's solemn vow did not seem to be fake. However, in this way, it would undoubtedly be more difficult for him to deal with Di Beichen and Xie Honglang. Yuan Hongyang, do you mean to shed all pretense of cordiality with my Xie family? Xie Qi's eyes were malicious, and his voice was filled with threat. Di Beichen's actions were undoubtedly a slap to the Xie family's face in front of everyone. He absolutely couldn't let the two of them off so easily. Otherwise, the Xie family's face would really be lost. However, once the Yuan family got involved, the situation would become even more complicated. Just as Yuan Hongyang was about to speak, Di Beichen spoke first. I'll give you two choices. Either you leave now or you'll never be able to leave. As soon as Di Beichen opened his mouth, his voice was filled with the domineering aura of an emperor. He just stood there indifferently, and his eyes were filled with indifference and disdain. It was as if he'd never taken Xie Qi seriously from the beginning until the end. In fact, he didn't care about the Xie family at all. When Xie Honglang was looking for trouble, he only felt that the other party had disturbed their meal. He didn't want to cause too much trouble, so he taught the other party a lesson and let him leave. Now that Xie Qi was clearly trying to make a big deal out of this, he wouldn't be polite. Since the other party didn't know how to appreciate kindness, he'd just kill him directly. Bailey Hongzhuang had the same thought as Di Beichen. They were foreigners, so there was no need for them to care about the intricacies of the Xie family's local power here. Kill him, and everything will be settled. Everyone's eyes focused on Di Beichen. His words were so shocking. Chapter 969. When Yuan Hongyang and Yuan Liqing heard Di Beichen's words, their eyes flashed with surprise. They never thought that Di Beichen would be so domineering as to say that he would take Xie Qi's life. Even they did not dare to say such words directly. Although the Yuan family's strength was stronger than the Xie family's, every family's roots were intertwined. Uprooting them was never a difficult matter. Moreover, other than the two families, there was also the Lu family in Yuanwu City. Once both sides were injured, the Lu family would be the one to benefit. It was because of this that the three great families had always maintained a delicate balance. Everyone in the restaurant sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard this. Their eyes were filled with shock as they looked at Di Beichen. In Yuanwu City, there was no one else who had the guts to kill the next patriarch of the Xie family other than Di Beichen. They did not know if they should say that this man was strong or bold. This man is too arrogant. What kind of existence is the Xie family? He wants to take Xie Qi's life as soon as he opens his mouth. Does he really think that the Xie family has no experts? Maybe he's relying on the Yuan family as his backing, that's why he's so arrogant. I feel that this man is really confident. Yesterday, when he was dealing with Xie Honglang, he said so. His attack was really shocking. Xie Qi's face was so gloomy that it could drip water. He had lived for so long, but no one had ever dared to speak to him with such an attitude. He was simply courting death. Di Beichen, don't think that you can be lawless just because you killed a few Crimson Realm followers. My Xie family's background is not as simple as what you see on the surface. However, In the face of Xie Qi's arrogant words, Di Beichen acted as if he did not hear them. So, you want to die here? Xie Qi was startled. The other party had actually completely ignored his words. How hateful. Just as Xie Qi was about to speak, he raised his head and saw Di Beichen's emotionless eyes filled with coldness. It was complete indifference, as if the gap between them was an insurmountable gap. From the beginning to the end, Di Beichen had never put him in his eyes. After noticing Di Beichen's gaze, Xie Qi's expression changed a little. Just a gaze was enough to make him feel fear. This was too terrifying. Under such a gaze, Xie Qi's heart unconsciously felt a sense of retreat. There was no reason for it, as if it was instinctive. At this moment, a mellow and carefree voice was heard. Young Master Xie, I did not expect you to be so ostentatious today. You really surprised me. Yuan Qingshua slowly appeared in front of everyone. He was almost 30 years old and was at the peak of his charisma. His every move had the handsomeness of a young man and the steadiness of a middle-aged man. At first glance, he gave off a feeling of trustworthiness. He did not have the slightest impulse. His refined appearance made people feel as if they were bathing in the spring breeze. However, when he said this, Yuan Qingshua's gaze could not help but fall on Di Beichen. The first time he saw this man, he felt a sense of shock. Just as Yuan Hongyang said, Di Beichen was really extraordinary. This was the aura of a superior. As the head of the Yuan family, he understood the aura very well. Chapter 970. When Xie Qi saw Yuan Qingshua's arrival, his already gloomy face was now filled with displeasure and disgust. Yuan Qingshua's handsome face in the eyes of others was extremely ugly in Xie Qi's eyes. After all these years of friction with the Yuan family, the conflict between them was already irreconcilable. I didn't expect young Master Yuan to be here today. It seems that Mr. Di is really important to the Yuan family. Xie Qi's deep voice was filled with mockery as he directly mocked Yuan Qingshua. All these years, Yuan Qingshua had already inherited the position of the head of the Yuan family. His status was very high, so he rarely appeared on such occasions. Today, Yuan Qingshua came. It was obvious that he wanted to use Di Beichen as an excuse to provoke the Xie family's anger. Yuan Qingshua smiled at Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang on the second floor as a greeting, then looked at Xie Qi. Mr. Di is my second brother's friend and a guest of the Yuan family. Of course, we won't sit by and do nothing. Yuan Qingshua's attitude was carefree, and his expression was calm. He didn't feel that there was anything wrong with the Yuan family's actions. What a sanctimonious look. Yesterday, these two people snatched Honglang's Qiankuan bag. How can we let others take away something that belongs to the Xie family? No matter what, I must get it back. Xie Qi's attitude was firm. Since the situation had escalated to this point, he naturally wouldn't just let it go. Now that so many people were watching, as the next head of the Xie family, if he were to show weakness in front of Yuan Qingshua, wouldn't he be embarrassing the entire Xie family? After seeing Xie Qi and Yuan Qingshua's tit-for-tat confrontation, everyone present couldn't help but look at each other. This show was really unexpected and exciting. Yesterday, Xie Honglang was the one who caused trouble. I was already giving the Xie family face by leaving his Qiankuan bag. Now, you actually came here with such great fanfare. I didn't expect the dignified Xie family to be so unreasonable. Bailey Hongzhuang's clear and pleasant voice came out. Her beautiful face was filled with a faint mocking smile, but the words she said directly hit the main point of this matter. Bailey Hongzhuang carelessly stroked Baisher's fur, her expression disapproving. Yesterday, she and Beichen did not want to cause too much trouble in Origin Martial City, so they only left Xie Honglang's universe bag behind. They did not expect that the Xie clan would not learn their lesson. It could only be said that Xie Qi was too self-righteous. As Bailey Hongzhuang's voice fell, Xie Qi's expression became increasingly ugly. The other party's indifference made him seem petty. What do you mean by unreasonable? In this origin martial city, my Xie clan's reputation is well known. Since you dared to take the things of my Xie clan, you will naturally not be let off so easily. At this moment, Xie Qi did not care anymore. He wanted to see if the Yuan family would really become enemies with the Xie clan for these two people. Seeing Xie Qi's attitude, a hint of displeasure flashed across Yuan Hongyang's eyes. He did not expect Xie Qi to be so ungrateful. It was as if he was planning to fight with the Yuan family directly. Your tone is really big. If that's the case, then in origin martial city, your Xie clan's words are the truth. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a mocking smile. This Xie Qi did not use his brain before speaking. Origin martial city was not dominated by the Xie clan alone. Chapter 971. Young Master Yuan, I'll make my stance clear today. Either you hand these two people over to me, or the Xie family and Yuan family will be irreconcilable. Xie Qi's tone was firm. In his opinion, the Xie family and Yuan family were rivals. All these years, they were just maintaining a superficial peace. However, who in the two families didn't know that they were rivals? The Yuan family used such a method to force him to this point. He definitely couldn't lose face in front of the Yuan family. After hearing Xie Qi's words, the Xie family members behind Xie Qi couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. The young master's decision was too rash. Now that the Yuan family was the strongest, they wouldn't gain any benefits from falling out with the Yuan family like this. Yuan Qingxuo was also surprised. He didn't expect Xie Qi's temper to grow after not seeing him for a while. It was obvious that the Xie family was at a disadvantage, but he still dared to say such words to him. Xie Qi, this matter was originally the Xie family's fault. Since you've said it like this, then I'll do as you wish. Yuan Qingxuo's attitude was even more firm. With the Yuan family's strength, they never feared the Xie family. Xie Qi had a list and said such words, how could he be afraid? Following Yuan Qingxuo's words, Xie Qi couldn't help but be stunned. Previously, he was completely blinded by anger. Now that he thought of all this, his face turned pale. How could he forget? Wasn't the Yuan family purposely protecting Di Beichen and Xie Qi to find an excuse to deal with the Xie family? Right now, he was walking straight into the muzzle of a gun. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's expressions were indifferent. Although this matter started because of them and Xie Honglang, now that it had evolved into a conflict between the Xie family and the Yuan family, it wasn't that important to them anymore. Since the Yuan family chose to interfere, then they naturally had their own plans. After all, they didn't have any good feelings towards the Xie family. Yuan Hongyang was also their friend. If this was the Yuan family's plan, then they wouldn't mind. The restaurant, which was originally noisy, became extremely quiet in an instant. Everyone's eyes fell on Xie Qi and Yuan Qingxuo. They were just two outsiders. Who would have thought that they would cause the Xie family and Yuan family to fall into such a situation? It seemed that this Yuan Wu city was going to change. Yuan Qingxuo, you're ruthless. Xie Qi glared at Yuan Qingxuo angrily. Things had developed to this point, and it was no longer something he could solve by himself. As soon as he finished speaking, Xie Qi turned around and left the restaurant with the Xie family. Seeing that Xie Qi had left, Yuan Qingxuo's expression was still calm. He immediately said to the people in the restaurant, "Sorry for disturbing everyone's meal. This meal is on the Yuan family." As soon as he said that, everyone cheered. Their impression of Yuan Qingxuo had improved. Although Xie Qi was the successor of the Xie family, his bearing and ability to handle matters were far inferior to Yuan Qingshua's. Yuan Qingshua slowly walked up to the second floor. Yuan Hongyang, Di Beichen, and the rest returned to the private room. Everyone looked at the door that was slowly closing, and their hearts were filled with emotions. I didn't expect the Xie clan and the Yuan clan to fall out with each other like this. This is really unexpected. Recently, the Yuan clan has been rising very quickly. Xie Qi is simply looking for trouble. I'm afraid he must be depressed to death right now. Chapter 972. In the private room. Yuan Hongyang stood beside Yuan Qingshua with a polite and warm smile on his face. Young Master D, Miss Bailey, this is my big brother, Yuan Qingshua. Young Master Yuan, your bearing is indeed extraordinary. It is admirable. Di Beichen smiled faintly and bowed to Yuan Qingshua. Yuan Qingshua hurriedly returned the greeting. Young Master D, please excuse me. It is my honor to be your friend. Hearing Yuan Qingshua's words, a hint of surprise flashed across Yuan Hongyang's eyes. When his big brother heard him talking about Di Beichen, although he felt that they were good friends, he did not show such respect. Why was his big brother's attitude so humble now? He had a certain understanding of his big brother's character. If it was not for Di Beichen's extraordinary performance, he would not have such an attitude. Just as Yuan Hongyang thought, Yuan Qingshua already knew that Di Beichen was not a simple person from the moment he saw Di Beichen's aura. It was because of this that his attitude toward Xie Qi was so decisive. It's not worth it for the Yuan family and the Xie family to escalate the conflict because of us, Di Beichen said slowly. As the young master of Tiangang's sect, he had seen many conflicts between forces. If he guessed correctly, the Yuan family did not intend to fall out with the Xie family. It was just that Xie Qi had said that he had no choice but to make a decision. However, Yuan Qingshua's decisiveness was also unexpected. Bailey Hongzhuang sat quietly at the side. Di Beichen had already seen through what she had seen through. No matter what, the Yuan family was willing to go against the Xie family for them. This showed the Yuan family's sincerity. Although if Yuan Hongyang and the others did not appear today, they might have been more direct and violent when facing Xie Qi. However, they still appreciated the Yuan family's kindness. Master, I don't think that Xie Qi will let this go. He will definitely cause trouble again. Xiao He frowned. Xie Qi didn't look like a good person. Even if the Yuan family intervened, he wouldn't be able to swallow his anger. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged indifferently. Whether he gives up or not, we don't have to care. Today, it was Yuan Hongyang and the others' sudden appearance that stopped the conflict between them and Xie Qi. Otherwise, Xie Qi would already be a dead man. She was filled with disgust towards the Xie clan. She would not be courteous to them since they had come looking for trouble. Xie Qi angrily returned to the Xie family, and this news quickly spread throughout the Xie family. When Xie Honglang found out about this, his expression became even uglier. He had already said that he did not want this matter to continue to escalate, but his elder brother was not willing to listen to him at all. He also didn't expect the two of them to be friends of the Yuan clan. As such, the problem became even bigger. When the head of the Xie family and the elders heard what Xie Qi said in the restaurant, their hearts became heavier. They felt that Xie Qi's actions were too impulsive. Although the conflict between the Xie and Yuan clans had already been exposed, the Xie family would be in an even more disadvantageous position if they were to fall out. Not long after, Xie Honglang received an order from his family to immediately find a way to marry Lu Xuerong. Chapter 973. In the end, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen decided to stay in the Yuan residence. Not for any other reason, but because of the Yuan family's attitude today. If they still insisted on not coming, it would be too ungrateful. Inside the room, Bailey Hongzhuang poured a cup of tea and handed it to Di Beichen, then said, "Beichen, the Yuan family has fallen out with the Xie family because of us. This makes me a little. They were only temporary guests to the origin martial city. If the Xie family was the only one who came to find trouble with them, they could directly start a conflict with the Xie family. After all, they did not have any other problems to worry about here. They could cause a huge ruckus and then leave calmly. But now, the Yuan family had made a move. Obviously, Yuan Hongyang and the rest had made a move because of them. Otherwise, there was no need for them to get involved. She was sincerely grateful for Yuan Hongyang and the rest's actions. From the Sky Swallow Kingdom to the Snow Origin Kingdom, Yuan Hongyang and the rest had been extremely warm and loyal to them. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's expression, Di Beichen's eyes revealed a faint smile. "My wife is so kind." Seeing Di Beichen's teasing expression, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but twitch her mouth. "Don't tell me you don't think so. The Yuan family has indeed helped us." Di Beichen's eyes flickered with wisdom. The Xie family was not weak. If the Yuan family had not made a move, the Xie family would have already caused trouble for them. Thinking about it, Yuan Hongyang and the rest did not believe that they had the strength to face the Xie family. Therefore, the Yuan family had made a move mostly to help them. Even if there were some other factors mixed in, it was not important. The conflict between the Yuan family and the Xie family does not have much to do with us. At most, we were the fuse that ignited it. If you feel grateful for what the Yuan family has done, we can leave something behind when we leave. Bailey Hongzhuang's smile widened. She knew that Di Beichen had the same thoughts as her. She didn't dare to say that she was kind, but she had always treated those who helped her with sincerity. "If you respect me, I will respect you tenfold." This was also her principle. That night, the Origin Martial City was in turmoil. The news of the Yuan family and the Xie family shedding all pretense of cordiality was spread throughout the city. Some of the smaller powers were even considering how to survive in the cracks. However, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen had a good rest. The next day, Yuan Hongyang and the others were surprised when they heard that Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were going to attend the auction. "I was just telling Hongyang to invite you guys to attend the auction. I didn't expect you guys to already know about it." Yuan Liqing's elegant face was filled with a joyful smile. Obviously, she was very happy that Bailey Hongzhuang and Gu Ruoyan were staying with the Yuan family. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. "We are just here to watch the show. We heard that there will be an auction today, so we are going to take a look. Then let's go together. There is a black-level martial skill in the auction. Our three families are determined to get it," Yuan Liqing said. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang understood. Martial skills were often very useful to families. Furthermore, a black-level martial skill was already very high level. Once a family member learned it, the family's strength would undoubtedly increase by a level. This was the reason why the Yuan family was thriving. When the commoners on the streets saw the four of them walking together, they felt a little emotional. The Yuan family is swaggering around with these two outsiders. I'm afraid they're provoking the anger of the Xie family. The Yuan clan's strength is tyrannical now. Even if the Xie clan is dissatisfied, it is useless. I don't know who these two people are, to be able to make the Yuan clan treat them like this. It really makes people curious. Numerous gazes curiously sized up Bailey Hongzhuang and Yuan Hongyang. Ever since they came to Yuan Wu City, the topic of these two people had always revolved around them. In a short 2 days, Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang were already known by everyone in Yuan Wu City. Chapter 975. Hong Zhuang, what do you think of the Snow Origin country scenery? Yuan Li asked with a faint smile. Bailey Hong Zhuang raised her head and looked at the snowy mountains behind the Origin martial city. Her clear eyes were filled with emotion as she replied, "The Snow Origin country is a very beautiful country. The place where I used to live doesn't have such a snowy scenery." Hearing this, the curve on Yuan Liqing's lips widened as she continued, "We're most famous for our snowy scenery. Some lovers would especially come here to look at the snow." Bailey Hongzhuang could sense the pride in Yuan Liqing's words towards the Snow Origin country. It seemed that Yuan Liqing really liked this place. However, anyone would be extremely fond of their hometown. However, Fengbo country was no longer her home country. Not long after, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others arrived at the auction house. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the other three entered the auction house, the originally lively auction house fell silent for a moment. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Bailey Hongzhuang and the other three. The Xie family's Xie Qi, Xie Honglang, and the Lu family's Lu Shuerong were all in the main hall. When Xie Qi saw Yuan Hongyang, his expression instantly turned gloomy. Due to the fact that he had publicly fallen out with the Yuan family, many people in the family thought that he had been too impulsive and had affected the family's interests. He had wanted to use this matter to increase his reputation in the family. However, he did not expect that not only did it not increase his reputation, but it had also caused many people to oppose him. This caused him to be in a terrible mood. The instigator of all this was Yuan Hongyang. Now that he saw Yuan Hongyang again, it was as if he had met his enemy. Yuan Hongyang and Yuan Liqing had clearly expected this to happen. They calmly walked in and ignored Xie Qi's angry gaze. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were even more unscrupulous. No matter how the crowd looked at them, they did not feel anything. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze quietly fell on Xie Honglang and Lu Shuerong. She did not know that this woman was the Lu family's young lady. When Xie Honglang felt Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze, he could not help but be stunned for a moment. His heart quivered. Although he could not control his big brother, he was afraid of Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Shuerong from the bottom of his heart. If his big brother had not forced him to attend the auction today, he really did not want to come here. Bailey Hongzhuang just glanced at him and then retracted her gaze. Xie Honglang's lowered head, not daring to look at her, had already explained everything. If the Xie and the Lu family join forces, I'm afraid that it will pose a threat to the Yuan family. Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful eyes flashed with wisdom. She was keenly aware that the relationship between Xie Honglang and Lu Shuerong was not the same, so she reminded him. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Yuan Liqing and Yuan Hongyang looked at each other. Yuan Hongyang smiled and said, "The Lu family's patriarch has always stood aloof from worldly affairs. After so many years, the Lu family's attitude has not changed. Even if Xie Honglang and Lu Shuerong get married, I believe that the Lu family will not get involved." Seeing that Yuan Hongyang was very confident, Bailey Hongzhuang did not say anything more. However, she felt that things were not as simple as Yuan Hongyang said. Chapter 976. Xie Qi had obviously suffered a loss yesterday. Although he was full of anger today, he did not take the initiative to cause trouble. After all, the Xie family was not a match for the Yuan family. Once he started a conflict, the one who would be slapped in the face in the end would still be him. The people from the three great families were all silent. The people from the other small forces did not say anything either. If any of the families were to be displeased because of this, it would really be a tragedy. As a result, the atmosphere in the auction hall was very strange. Many people felt uncomfortable. However, the people from the three great families did not say anything, so what could they say? Fortunately, it didn't take long for the auction to begin. Everyone walked into the auction house one after another, and only then did the strange atmosphere from before end. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen followed Yuan Hongyang into the VIP box. The 3 VIP boxes in the Origin Martial City auction house belonged to the 3 great families. Although the Snow Origin country was a big country, the Origin Martial City was only a city. Therefore, the scale of this auction house was still a certain distance away from the Feng Bo country's auction house. In the box, Xie Qi's face was full of anger. This damned Yuan family, they even deliberately brought Di Beichen and Bailey Hongyang here today. They're deliberately making us lose face in front of everyone. Big brother, if we continue to cause trouble, it won't do us any good. Just bear with it. A helpless expression appeared on Xie Honglang's face. This situation was also not what he wanted to see. Hearing Xie Honglang's words, Xie Qi was even angrier. Isn't this all because of you? If I didn't clean up your mess, would I have ended up in this situation? When he thought of the criticism from his family, he was full of anger. It was all Xie Honglang's fault. If it was not for him, he would not have been criticized at all. Xie Honglang lowered his head and a wisp of anger faintly flashed in his eyes. However, it quickly dissipated and his tightly clenched fist also quietly relaxed. Who asked him to be weaker than Xie Qi? Therefore, he could only endure Xie Qi's anger. In the future, Xie Qi would be the head of the Xie family. If he offended Xie Qi now, it would only make his life more miserable in the future. Thinking of this, Xie Honglang completely suppressed the anger in his heart. This matter was caused by me, but now that things have developed to this point, you can only endure it for now, big brother. After I bring Lu Xuerong back, as long as we join hands with the Lu family, you can vent your anger. Xie Qi nodded in satisfaction. You're not good at other things, but you're still useful in this aspect. You must perform well. Don't mess this up again. Xie Honglang clenched his fist again, but his face did not show the slightest bit of emotion. Big brother, I will definitely do it well. That's more like it. At this moment, Lu Xuerong was also sitting in the VIP box belonging to the Lu family. Lu Xuerong's elder brother, Lu Hong, saw the worry in his little sister's eyes and couldn't help but pat Lu Xuerong's shoulder. Xuerong, now that the Xie family and the Yuan family have fallen out, it's very likely that there will be a huge change in the relationship between the two families. If you marry Xie Honglang now, I'm afraid you'll be in danger, Lu Hongshan said earnestly. Lu Xuerong's face was somewhat pale, big brother, but I really like big brother Xie. Chapter 977. This is all Xie Qi's fault. He was too impulsive. Originally, father was willing to marry you to Xie Honglang, but now that this has happened, the problem is not so simple anymore. Lu Hongshan's handsome and determined face showed a touch of helplessness. He had always doted on his sister and hoped that she could be happy. However, now that the Xie family had taken the initiative to provoke the Yuan family, once Lu Xuerong and Xie Honglang got married, everyone would think that the Xie family and the Lu family had joined forces. So far, the family had not made a decision, which was really troublesome. Lu Xuerong looked a little depressed. If she had known earlier, she would not have been so tenacious. Who would have thought that a contract beast could cause so much trouble? Big brother, that's Xie Qi's problem. Xie Honglang is not like that. Lu Xuerong could not help but say. In her eyes, Xie Honglang was very concerned about her and had a good character. Most importantly, she had already fallen in love with Xie Honglang. Lu Hongshan's eyes flashed with a touch of contemplation. This Xie Qi's cultivation talent is very good, but his character is really not that good. I think Xie Honglang is better than him. He had also interacted with Xie Honglang before. In his opinion, Xie Honglang's character was better than Xie Qi's. However, the Xie family only cared about Xie Qi's strength and did not care about anything else. This made people feel very helpless. Then what should I do? Lu Xuerong could not help but look at Lu Hongshan. Since young, Lu Hongshan had always been good to her. She could only hope that Lu Hongshan would think of a way for her. Lu Hongshan sighed faintly. There's no rush for now. Let's take it one step at a time. Soon, a man in his 20s appeared in front of everyone. The man's round face was full of smiles. He was not like ordinary men who were romantic and elegant. He was very cute, especially when he smiled with deep dimples, which made people feel a little better. Welcome everyone to this auction. I am the auctioneer, Tong Jingshuo. As the man's voice fell, the audience could not help but burst into applause. This auctioneer easily gave people a good impression. I believe everyone has been looking forward to this auction for a long time. This auction is a treasure at the bottom of the box. It is also an auction that our auction house has meticulously prepared. I believe that it will not disappoint everyone. Without further ado, let's begin the auction of the first item. Tong Jingshuo raised his right hand, and a female attendant walked up the stage with the first auction item. Instantly, everyone's gaze turned towards the auction item wrapped in red silk. However, compared to the attention of the others, Bailey Hongzhuang and the other 3 people in the private room were calmly sipping their tea. The items in this auction were indeed good, but the first few items didn't pique their interest. They were just waiting for the items they were interested in to appear. Hongzhuang, are there any auction items that caught your eye? Yuan Liqing asked curiously. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly and did not hide anything. I've taken a fancy to this parchment scroll. I always feel that it's very special, so I want to buy it and take a look. Hearing this, Yuan Liqing's gaze also fell on the parchment scroll. She had also noticed the parchment scroll earlier, but she did not take it to heart. This parchment scroll is placed at the back. Could it be a treasure? I don't think so. Chapter 978. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly, I'm just interested in some unknown things. Hearing this, Yuan Liqing also understood. With Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's situation, they probably wouldn't be interested in any of the items in this auction. It was only because they didn't know what this parchment scroll was that they were interested in it. Occasionally, there would be some items that even the auction house couldn't identify in an auction. Whether to bid for it or not depended on the person's opinion. It was possible that after bidding for it, it was discovered to be a treasure. Naturally, it was a profit. It was also possible that after bidding for it, it was discovered to be useless. Of course, most of the time, these items were useless. If it was really useful, the auction house wouldn't have auctioned it at such a price. It seemed that Bailey Hongzhuang was just interested in it. Even if it wasn't useful, it didn't matter. I see. Yuan Liqing smiled faintly, this parchment scroll does look quite special. Perhaps it is a treasure. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. She understood that Yuan Liqing probably thought that her actions were purely for fun. This was also a good thing. It would be best if everyone thought so. Then it would be much easier for her to bid for this parchment scroll. If she hadn't coincidentally obtained a quarter of the parchment scroll, she probably wouldn't have any interest in this auction. Yuan Hongzhuang also glanced at the parchment scroll. His thoughts were slightly different from Yuan Liqing's. From the looks of it, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen came to this auction purely for this parchment scroll. Could it be that they were already sure that this parchment scroll was a treasure? Even though he had some guesses in his heart, Yuan Hongzhuang still didn't have any thoughts of bidding for this parchment scroll. A gentleman wouldn't snatch what others liked. This was something that Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen had their eyes on. Naturally, he wouldn't snatch it. Moreover, this auction's most important item for the clan was the profound grade martial skill. In the following auction, the three great clans occasionally bid for a few items. Most of the items were bought by the people in the auction hall. Tong Jingshua appeared to be very happy. The auction house's auction items this time were all very good, so there weren't any unsold items in this auction. On the contrary, the transaction price was much higher than usual, which made him very happy. After this auction, he would definitely gain a lot of benefits. There weren't many items left for the next auction, but no one left the auction hall. Everyone knew that the last profound grade martial skill was the finale item, and they all wanted to know which clan would obtain this profound grade martial skill. The next item to be auctioned is a mysterious item. Tong Jingshua pretended to be mysterious as he introduced it to the crowd. This parchment scroll was accidentally obtained by the auctioneer, but we don't know what it is. Our auction house has confirmed that this parchment scroll has some faint energy fluctuations. It shouldn't be a simple parchment scroll. If anyone is interested, you can bid for it and take a look. It could very well be a treasure. Hearing Tong Jingshua's words, the expressions of the people below the stage did not change much. Chapter 979. Tong Jingshua was not surprised to see that the crowd was not tempted by what he had said and continued to encourage the crowd. I know that everyone is very curious about this parchment scroll and may not want to auction it back. However, think about it, if this parchment scroll is really a treasure, then you will have really profited. According to our appraisers, the possibility of this parchment scroll being something else is very high. It is because of this that this parchment scroll is being auctioned at this time. Why don't everyone take a gamble? This is a great opportunity. Tong Jingshua's ability to stir up people's emotions was not bad. With just a few simple words, he had instantly heated up the originally cold atmosphere. Many people looked at the parchment scroll with a faint trace of curiosity. If it was really a treasure like Tong Jingshua had said, then they would have profited from the auction. Speaking of which, this parchment scroll is indeed placed very far in the back. Who knows, it might really be a treasure. Let's bid for it and take a look. If it really is a treasure, then we will have profited. If the price is not very high, then it doesn't matter if we bid for it back. The crowd discussed animatedly and were somewhat tempted. This kind of wishful thinking was something that many people would have. Tong Jingshua was very good at grasping everyone's wishful thinking, so he had achieved this effect with just a few simple words. Listening to the discussion below the stage, the smile on Tong Jingshua's face widened. Based on this situation, he was certain that this parchment scroll would not go unsold. Looks like there are quite a few people interested in this parchment scroll. Yuan Hongyang sized up the people in the auction hall. From these people's expressions, he could see that many people were interested in this parchment scroll. In this world, there were often many opportunistic people who hoped to obtain a great opportunity through this kind of method. Unfortunately, this kind of thing was mostly useless when auctioning it back. Of course, he did not think that Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were opportunistic people. In his opinion, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were more interested in it. If Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were really opportunistic people, then they would not have such strength at such a young age. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. This auctioneer's method of stirring up the atmosphere is very good. Yuan Hongyang smiled and nodded. This Tong Jingshua grew up in the auction house since young and has a good grasp of people's hearts. Over the years, he has already become the chief auctioneer of this auction house. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang also understood. So that's how it is. Let's start the auction of the parchment scroll. The starting bid, 1,000 gold coins. Some people couldn't help but sigh with emotion at this starting price. For an unknown parchment scroll to be auctioned at such a starting price, it was really quite expensive. As soon as Tong Jingshua's voice fell, the sound of bidding immediately rang out. 1,100 gold coins. 1,200 gold coins. 1,500 gold coins. Voices of bidding rose and fell one after another. As the bidding price rose higher and higher, the smile on Tong Jingshua's face became increasingly brilliant. Chapter 980. Bailey Hongzhuang calmly sipped her tea as she listened to the bidding from the crowd. There was no point in bidding now. She could save herself some trouble by bidding after the crowd had raised the price to a certain level. 2,800 gold coins. 3,000 gold coins. When one person raised the price to 3,000 gold coins, the people who were originally bidding gradually gave up on the idea of bidding. For an item of unknown value like the parchment scroll, it would be fine if the price wasn't high. Even if they lost money, they wouldn't lose much. However, if the price was too high, it wouldn't be worth it. Thus, when the price of 300 gold coins was announced, the entire auction hall fell silent. Seeing this situation, Tong Jingshua wasn't disappointed. 3,000 gold coins was a lot better than what he had expected. Usually, such an unknown item would rarely be sold for 3,000 gold coins. However, just as Tong Jingshua was about to announce the price, a cold and pleasant voice sounded from the box. 5,000 gold coins. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's voice, everyone in the auction hall couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Very quickly, they knew the owner of this voice. I didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang would be interested in this parchment scroll. 5,000 gold coins, how generous. The customer who had originally bid 3,000 gold coins chose to give up after hearing the price of 5,000 gold coins. The price had suddenly increased by so much. It was obvious that the other party was determined to get it. Even if he continued to bid, it wouldn't be of any use. The other party was rich and overbearing. He simply couldn't compete. Furthermore, offending the other party just because of an unknown parchment scroll was too unwise. Xie Qi immediately recognized Bailey Hongzhuang's voice. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was very unique. It was cold and distant, as if she didn't eat the food of the common populace. It gave people an ethereal feeling. The auction had been going on for so long, but Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen hadn't bid for anything. Who would have thought that they would bid for this unknown parchment scroll in the end? Could it be that this parchment scroll is really a treasure? Xie Qi's eyes lit up. That Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen seemed to have a certain background. Presumably, their eyesight wouldn't be bad. They probably wouldn't bid for this parchment scroll just because it was interesting. Seeing Xie Qi's calculating appearance, Xie Honglang's expression couldn't help but change. Big brother, please don't cause any more trouble. This time, we're here for the profound level martial arts technique. Xie Honglang was a little nervous. He had grown up with Xie Qi since he was a child, so he knew his elder brother's temperament very well. He was afraid that other thoughts had already sprouted in his heart at this moment. Hearing Xie Honglang's words, Xie Qi's face couldn't help but turn gloomy. I'm just bidding for something, how is that causing trouble? According to what you said, as long as Bailey Hongzhuang and Bailey Hongzhuang bid for something, I can't bid? If they bid for the profound level martial arts technique later, are we just going to give up? Xie Qi looked at Xie Honglang with dissatisfaction. He only felt that Xie Honglang was too useless. Why did he act like a mouse seeing a cat when he saw Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen? Big brother, that's not what I meant. It's just that we have to spend all our money on this profound level martial arts technique. Let's not waste other things. Xie Honglang advised. Chapter 981. 6,000 Gold Coins. Xie Qi ignored Xie Honglang's objection and directly started the auction. Yesterday's incident at the restaurant gave him a lot of face. Although he couldn't do anything to the Yuan clan, he could at least use this method to make Bailey Hongzhuang unhappy. He had never suffered this kind of humiliation before. Just thinking about it made him feel unhappy. Now, he only felt that the entire Yuan Wu city was looking at him as a joke. He only wanted to turn the tables. Xie Honglang's face was filled with helplessness. He was really helpless about his brother's actions. However, with his position, he couldn't stop Xie Qi. In the past, he didn't think that there was anything wrong with Xie Qi. However, after this incident, he felt that Xie Qi was too narrow-minded. As the successor of the clan, he naturally had to be unyielding when he needed to be. However, when he needed to be patient, he couldn't be too impulsive. Otherwise, it would implicate the entire clan. In another VIP box, when Lu Hongshan heard that Xie Qi had come to compete with Bailey Hongzhuang, a trace of disgust appeared on his handsome face. This Xie Qi's conduct is too stupid and arrogant. At this time, it's fine if he just endured, but he had to make things worse. He's really stupid. The current Xie clan was no match for the Yuan clan. Yesterday, they had already been slapped in the face. Now, Xie Qi's actions were undoubtedly asking for trouble. As the successor of the family, some forbearance was very necessary. This patience wouldn't make others feel that he had lost face. Instead, it would make others feel that he was a real man. However, Xie Qi didn't understand this at all. He only knew how to be in the limelight. In his eyes, he was no different from an idiot. Hearing Lu Hongshan's words, Lu Xuerong's face paled. As a woman, she didn't understand what Lu Hongshan was saying. She only knew that the more the Lu clan looked down on the Xie clan, the less likely it was for her to be with Xie Honglang. This Xie Qi didn't learn his lesson yesterday. Now, he actually dares to take the initiative to cause trouble. A trace of anger appeared on Yuan Hongyang's face. He was certain that Xie Qi was deliberately causing trouble. If Bailey Hongzhuang had not bid for this parchment scroll, Xie Qi would not have been interested in it. Compared to Yuan Hongyang's anger, Bailey Hongzhuang appeared to be very indifferent. Only the faint trace of coldness in her eyes revealed her emotions. 10,000 gold coins. Bailey Hongzhuang raised the price without hesitation. Yuan Liqing looked at Bailey Hongzhuang worriedly. She didn't want Bailey Hongzhuang to hurt herself. Yuan Liqing couldn't help but look at Di Beichen. Feeling Yuan Liqing's gaze, Di Beichen smiled and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang lovingly. His Hongzhuang had always been smart. If Xie Qi wanted to fight with Hongzhuang, he was afraid that he was not strong enough. Looking at Di Beichen's calm appearance, Yuan Liqing felt relieved. It seemed that the situation wasn't as bad as she thought. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the guests in the auction hall couldn't help but gasp. Obviously, they didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to raise the price by such a large margin. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly raise the price so much, Xie Qi was also excited. It seemed that he had guessed correctly. Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Hongshuang were determined to get this parchment scroll. Chapter 982. Hearing Xie Honglang's words, Xie Qi looked disdainfully at the former. This is my business. If you say another word, get out. Once these words were spoken, Xie Honglang could not help but be startled. His expression instantly turned ugly, but he could only endure this anger. 10,100 gold coins. Xie Qi once again quoted a price. He wanted to raise the price and make Bailey Hongzhuang eat a loss in silence. Using this method, He wanted to let Bailey Hongzhuang know that offending him in the origin martial city would definitely require her to pay the price. At this moment, the crowd could see that there was something fishy about this bidding war. It was obvious that this had evolved into a contest between Xie Qi and Bailey Hongzhuang. It seems that the eldest young master of the Xie family is purposely provoking Bailey Hongzhuang. Yesterday, the eldest young master of the Xie family had suffered in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and the Yuan family. Today, he must be trying to make a comeback. However, I don't know what the outcome will be. A contest between rich people is indeed different. The price that was called out in a fit of pique is also frightening. The crowd sighed with emotion. Spending so much money to bid for a parchment scroll was too much of a waste. This situation had clearly exceeded Tong Jingshua's expectations. However, after understanding the situation, his heart was filled with joy. Regardless of who won in the end, he would bid the parchment scroll for a sky-high price. 30,000 gold coins. Bailey Hongzhuang called out once again. In terms of money, the current her could be considered rich and overbearing. She did not place it in her eyes, but she was truly interested in this parchment scroll. 30,100 gold coins. Xie Qi was immensely pleased with himself. No matter how much Bailey Hongzhuang bid, he would raise it by 100 gold coins. 50,000 gold coins. 50,100 gold coins. When the price was raised to 50,000 gold coins, Xie Qi was astonished. He never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would be so wealthy. She had directly thrown out 50,000 gold coins in one go. However, on second thought, Xie Qi thought that this might be the gold coin that Bailey Hongzhuang took from Xie Honglang's Qianquan bag. Thinking of this, Xie Qi became even angrier. Ever since Bailey Hongzhuang, these two outsiders, came, he became very unlucky. 100,000 gold coins. Bailey Hongzhuang's cold voice became colder and colder. The price continued to rise, but her expression did not change at all. This Xie Qi is really annoying. In my opinion, it's better to just get rid of him. Although he's a clown, it's not fun to watch him jump around like this. Xiao Hei's eyes were filled with anger. This guy was clearly provoking them. If it allowed Xie Qi to continue provoking it like this, it would not be its personality. Xiao Bai's big round eyes rolled around. Don't worry, Master will not allow him to continue being so arrogant. If it had guessed correctly, Master should have already thought of a way to deal with Xie Qi. Baisher lay quietly in Bailey Hongzhuang's arms. A guy like Xie Qi would not affect Master in the slightest. As long as Master said the word, it would bite off Xie Qi's neck. 100,100 gold coins. The smile on Xie Qi's face gradually widened. This Bailey Hongzhuang was really stupid. She clearly knew that he was deliberately bidding against her, yet she still continued to bid. What a joke. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.